Hey there guys, and welcome to my review of this year's installment of VHS. This one is called VHS Halloween, primarily focused around obviously the event of Halloween. It does a great job, but trying to review this type of film is obviously a little bit difficult because it's not just one film like a normal film review. It's a film that's comprised of 6 individual films. So the best way to talk about this, what we'll do is, in this review, we'll go through each individual segment, each individual film within this film itself. We'll talk a little bit about each individual segment, what it's comprised of, what it's about, kind of how good it is, how bad it is. Then at the end, we'll go through and give each segment an individual rating, and then we'll give the overall movie a rating itself as well. So make sure you stick around till the end because you don't want to miss my rating on the segments and the overall rating as well. And yeah, let's get straight into it and let's start talking about the very first segment in this VHS movie. First, in VHS Halloween, the first segment we come to is called Diet Phantasma, and it's basically a small film that features a testing facility that is testing their brand new diet soda that they've been working on. So we have a bunch of scientists on one side of the glass, and on the other side of the glass in the testing room, we have a bunch of subjects of all varying ages, male and female, and they're basically told by the scientists, open up the diet soda, taste it, let us know what you think of it, or whether you like the taste or not. But whenever the testing subjects open up the diet soda and start to drink it, it releases a demonic presence into the room and they get killed. All the test subjects get killed, they get possessed by this kind of demon, and it just gets crazier and crazier. And every single test subject that's brought in, every single experiment that's performed, this demonic presence just gets released every time a diet soda is opened. I have no idea why this happens, it's not really explained, but it's just crazy and it's so ridiculous and over the top. So you open up the soda, the demonic presence just comes out of the can, and all chaos breaks loose and people are getting killed in all kinds of different ways. And man, it's just a really ridiculous premise, but it's kind of fun to watch because you don't know how the demonic presence is going to react when the cans are opened, and it's kind of fun to watch. But anyway, that's the first segment, so let's move on to our second segment and start talking about that. Okay, so the second segment is called Coochie Coo. It's kind of a funny name, but I'm reading it from the official kind of names here for the segments. So basically what happens here, we have a couple of girls, college girls, they're going out celebrating their last Halloween before they go off to college or university, whichever one it is, I can't remember off the top of my head. But they go out to celebrate Halloween, they're kind of going down the street, they're trying to find candy from different houses, and then they stop, they have a conversation, and in the background they notice there's a house that they haven't yet visited. So they go over to this house, the lights are kind of pulsating, it looks very weird. They knock on the door, no one answers, and as they walk away, the door slowly opens and a hand kind of reaches out of the darkness with a bucket full of candy, and they kind of turn around, and one of them kind of makes a joke, one of the girls, and they run into the house, and then the other girl reluctantly follows them. They go into this house, the door slams shut behind them, and basically the front door of the house then disappears once they're inside, and they get stuck in this kind of labyrinth, this haunted house. It's pitch black, they don't know what's going on. To start off with, they think it's like a haunted house, like an attraction that someone set up, but before they know it, creepy things start to happen, and it's basically revealed. I'm talking about complete spoilers here, so you have been warned, as spoilers. Basically, what's happening is, in this house that they're now locked inside, there's a mother who basically has, how do I say this without being too graphic? She's basically been kidnapping local teenagers, turning them into giant babies, and she's been feeding them. She's got 6 breasts. She's like this demonic mother who's got 6 breasts, and she's been turning local college students into giant babies in her house. And she's been feeding them from her chest, and like these 2 college girls are stuck in this house now, this labyrinth with this demonic mother, and the demonic mother's like trying to capture them and turn them into giant babies, and it's so creepy. And there's already this giant man baby like running around inside the house. And it's just the most bizarre thing, but it's one of those really unique premises. Demonic mother turning college students into giant adult babies. It's like, what the hell is going on here? But as you can see from the picture I just flashed up, you can see how creepy this kind of thing is. But yeah, so that's kind of one of the segments as well there. So with that down, we're going to move on to the next one. Up next, the next segment is called Ut Supra Sic Infra. It's some sort of like Latin name. I'm not exactly sure if I pronounced that right, but this has got to be the worst segment of the entire film, in my opinion. Basically, these kids, they're on the way to this Halloween party. These kind of college students are on the way to this Halloween party. One of the girls knows this kind of creepy room where one of her co-workers took her before, where, you know, it's just a creepy room. So she takes her friends there while they're on the way to this Halloween party. They walk into this room, and it's kind of just like a big circle room. It looks creepy. And then basically, as they're kind of looking around the room and they're talking and kind of having fun, this phone appears in the middle of the room. It's on this kind of pedestal. It's a black phone. The phone begins to ring, and basically one of them just picks up the phone, and as he picks up the phone, he gets demonically possessed. And then as he gets demonically possessed, he becomes some sort of weird demon, and he basically starts kind of killing everybody else who's in the room. But one of the things that stands out is this demon doesn't just kill people. For some reason, he plucks out their eyes. And it's kind of really bizarre. It's weird. It's not explained. I guess a lot of stuff in this movie isn't explained. But yeah, so basically in this room, he answers the phone. He gets demonically possessed through the phone, and then he proceeds to kill all of his friends in this room, and he plucks out their eyes individually. Although the camera does kind of linger on the corpses as he's like plucking their eyes out, so that the cinematography is kind of really creepy to watch. But it's very basic. There's nothing to it. There's no tension. It's not really that scary. The gore is good. The gore is always good in these kind of VHS films, but it's a really short segment. There's no tension. It's not scary. There's nothing to it. And yeah, ultimately it doesn't really go anywhere. Demonic person plucking out eyes of other people. That's pretty much sums up the whole kind of segment here. But maybe if you guys have seen it, maybe it's your favorite segment. But for me, it didn't really work, and I think it's the worst segment out of the whole film here. Okay, so this next segment is called Fun Size, and it's hands down the best segment of the entire film. Although this segment is very cheesy, it's very campy, it's very silly, and it's badly acted. But the premise is what wins this segment over for me. Yeah, so it's called Fun Size. So again, it starts off the same way a lot of these segments do. We have college teens going out trick-or-treating, and they come across this bowl full of candy, and the note at the front, it says only one candy per person. Obviously, being greedy college teens, they take more than one candy. Then basically they get sucked into the candy bowl through a portal, and they end up in this warehouse, this big candy warehouse. And then basically there's this big mascot, this kind of red, weird looking kind of alien mascot character. I'll put up a picture on the screen now so you can see it. But this iconic new killer here, he looks so damn funny. And basically what he does, he kills the teenagers, puts them onto a conveyor belt in this old candy factory. The kids who he's killed, they go through the conveyor belt, they get chopped up into small bits, their body parts, then they get layered in kind of like sugar and chocolate, and their body parts get turned into candy. And it's so weird, it's so bizarre. At one point, one of the college teens tries to fight back against the monster who's in charge of the candy factory. He cuts off the monster's arm, and then candy starts flowing out of the monster's arm. And it's so cheesy, it's so campy, like I said at the beginning, but it's so fun. And the premise of college teens being killed and then being cut up and turned into candy, I mean, it's kind of like a crazy version of Willy Wonka in a way. And I think this was the funnest segment. Like I say, because it was cheesy and campy, that kind of does detract a little bit, and it was badly acted. One of the guys in this segment, oh my god, he cannot act. He was so bad. But the actual premise and the design of the monster, the killer, in this segment is what wins it over, and it's my favorite segment of the whole film. For those of you who have seen it, I'm sure you guys enjoyed it too. I thought it was really, really fun. But yeah, okay, so with that one down, let's keep going. I think we've got a couple more segments to get to here. The next segment is called Kid Print, and it's basically about a technology company. This is back in the 90s when this segment takes place. Remember, there's no social media, there's not really any use of the internet or anything like that. And in this local town where this technology company is, a bunch of the kids are going missing. Nobody knows what's happening to them. They're being abducted. There's a huge police presence in the town. And this company, basically what they do is they take videos of the local kids, and they use that to document the kids, their name, their date of birth, where they're from, all that kind of stuff. So if they go missing, they have a VHS recording of each of the children that they can obviously use then for the news cycle. They can give it to the police. They can put it out to make sure people know who's missing and what they look like, because at the time there's no social media. You can't post on Facebook. It's back in the 90s. So that's what this company does. So these kids are going missing and all this kind of stuff, and it turns out that one of the employees who works for this technology company is the abductor who's abducting these kids. And he's basically abducting these kids. And this is where it loses some people, because when you start harming children in horror films, it can be a sticking point for a lot of people. When it gets gruesome, when you start hurting children, there's a lot of people that take issue with that kind of stuff in horror films, and I can understand why, because there's something that feels a bit uncomfortable about kind of torturing children. And this segment, it really dives deep into the horror. There's nothing campy here, there's nothing cheesy. It's not like the previous segment. This is like full-on horror, where there's like mutilation, there's torture, and this guy who's working for this technology company is abducting these kids, bringing them back to this company, taking them basically to this back room, and he's like skinning them alive, and he's like recording it and making VHS tapes of torturing these kids. And I can understand why some people, this might not be up their street, because torturing kids is a whole new level, and there's, like I already said, there's some people that find it going too far in entertainment, and I can get why this would make people feel uncomfortable. But I think that's what they were going for in this segment, the kind of the shock value of kind of torturing these kids and kind of ripping pieces of the skin off the guy who's torturing them, and it's a little bit hard to watch, but they're going for the pure shock value, you can see that. But it's done well. I mean, the gore is done well, the way it's filmed. I mean, the found footage aspect and the 90s kind of grain that they put on the cinematography, it looks decent. It looks from the time period, and it's very well made, but it does make you feel uncomfortable. Not one of my favorite segments because of that reason, because it made me feel a bit uncomfortable. But it's very well made. It's very well done. It's very well acted, and the gore and the gruesomeness of it is very well done. I can't take that away from it. So that one was called Kid Print. So we've got one more segment to get to. Unfortunately, guys, there's like, it's hard to talk about this in terms of being one movie, because there's like 6 movies in one here, so talking about each segment is the easiest way to do this. But yeah, we have one more segment to get to, so let's talk about that. Then I'll give my overall score for each segment, and then my overall score for the entire movie at the end of the video as well. The last segment is called Home Haunt. So this guy, he has a yearly tradition with his family where this guy runs his own haunted house. It's kind of like a carnival haunted house. And he tries to get his son to help him, but unfortunately his son has grown up. His son doesn't want anything to do with the haunted house anymore because he thinks it's lame or whatever. But eventually he coaxes his son to start helping him with this haunted house. They start setting up. They open up the haunted house to the public. People start queuing up for the haunted house. They go into the haunted house, and then things start to go crazy, and basically the haunted house comes alive. Think of Toy Story, but for a haunted house. Instead of a bunch of toys coming alive, basically the haunted house. So inside the haunted house, there's a witch, there's zombies, there's ghosts, there's an executioner, all your typical kind of haunted house characters. But they come alive and they start acting the part of what they are. And it's so crazy. This segment goes from a 0, like in terms of like the horror, it goes from a 0 to a 10 in like literally a space of 5 seconds. When all of the attraction comes alive and starts killing off all of the public inside this haunted house, it's just insane, because each part of the haunted house is killing them in different ways. So you've got the ghosts. It's like you're like your typical version of a ghost at Halloween, where you've got the bed sheet with just a ghost face on it. All of these bed sheets start flying on top of the public, and then once the members of the public are covered in the ghost sheet, the sheets turn, and it basically, any person that's inside the ghost sheet, it turns them into a blender and starts like blending them up, and the blood starts coming out the front of the ghost face. Man, it's just crazy. Like, it's so... And then we have a bunch of zombies which start tearing the flesh off people. We have an executioner with an axe who starts chopping people up. That's all kinds of crazy. Then at the end of the segment, we have a wicked witch who's part of the attraction. She starts killing a bunch of people. She grabs a little girl and puts a girl in this cauldron. It basically like boils her alive. Then, towards the end of the segment, once pretty much everyone's dead, the actual witch escapes from the attraction. She flies into the local street and then starts skewering kids with the front of her broomstick as the witch is flying down the street. And it's so ridiculous. Like, the premise is really, really fun and crazy and ridiculous, but the fact that it ends with the witch flying down the street and kind of skewering kids with the end of her broom, and then as she flies by one little girl, she grabs a little girl by the neck and kind of explodes her head. The witch does with her hand, and it's, oh my god, it's just crazy. But this is the kind of thing you come to expect from these VHS movies. But anyway, with those kind of down guys, talking about each individual segment there, jump into the comment section, let me know which was your favourite segment, if you've seen this so far. It's really, really crazy, and I'm sure you guys enjoyed it. But yeah, let me know which segment was your favorite. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go down each individual segment. I'll give a score out of 10 for each one, and then I'll give an overall rating for the movie as well. Okay, so here's my rating for each segment. Up first, Diet Phantasma, the soda demon. I'm going to give that a 5 out of 10. So, up next, the segment called Coochie Goo. I still can't get over that name. I'm going to give that one a 6 out of 10. So, the next segment up was called Super Sic Infra, the one where someone gets possessed through the black telephone and then plucks out all the eyes of their friends. I'm going to give that one a 5 out of 10. That one's average, didn't do a whole lot for me. One of the worst segments in the entire movie, in my opinion. So, the next segment up is called Fun Size, my favourite segment of the entire movie, where we have that candy factory, where we have the college kids being cut up and turned into candy treats. So crazy, such a weird premise. I'm going to give that one 8 out of 10, because I think it was gory, it was crazy, it was campy. It kind of fulfilled everything that you want out of a VHS movie, and by far, the best segment of this movie. Okay, so the next segment was called Kid Print. That was to do with that technology company who was abducting children and then basically torturing them and kind of skinning them alive. I'm going to give that one a 3 out of 10 because I think it made me feel too uncomfortable to the point where I didn't really want to watch it. I didn't enjoy it, but I give it a 3 because the visual effects were well done. But apart from that, yeah, a 3 out of 10 because torturing children is just a little bit too far in my opinion. Some people may feel different, but for me, that's kind of how I felt about that segment. And finally, we come to the last segment of the film called Home Haunt, to do with that haunted house where the attraction came alive and then basically started killing all the members of the public inside. I give that one a 7 out of 10. It's my second favourite segment of the entire movie, and the reason I gave it a 7 is because I enjoyed it. I think the brutality was great, the gore was great, the inventive kills were really good, but where it lacks, I think for me, is I found some of the camera work to be very, very shaky. I couldn't tell what was going on some of the time. I found it to be very dark as well, where I couldn't see a lot of it, but the parts that I could see, I did thoroughly enjoy, and the bit at the end with the witch who's flying down the street killing the kids, it was just ridiculous. It was campy and crazy and silly, and yeah, I give that one a 7. So when it comes to this movie, I'm going to give the overall score a 6 out of 10, and the reason I'm giving it a 6 out of 10 is because that fun size segment with the college kids being turned into the candy treats was so good that it brings this movie up from being an average at just a number 5 to a number 6. So if that segment wasn't in the movie, this would just be an average kind of horror film, and it's by far one of the weakest entries in the VHS franchise, so I echo the sentiments that a lot of people are saying on their reviews online. This is one of the weaker entries in the VHS franchise, but if you're a horror buff and you like horror stuff, then it's really worth checking out. You're still going to have a fun time with it. There's still some crazy kills and great gore, and the found footage nature of it makes it a little bit more realistic and fun. So I do recommend it, even though I've only given it a 6. It's still better than average, but it's not the best thing I've ever seen. It's not the worst thing I've ever seen. It's kind of somewhere in the middle. But like I say, if you're a horror fan, check it out. You'll get some enjoyment out of it. And we'll wait until next year to see if they release a better VHS next year. Hopefully they will. But that's kind of my review and my thoughts there, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Jump into the comment section if you've seen this movie yourself. Let me know what was your favourite segment, what stood out to you the most, what was you disappointed with, and any other thoughts, comments and opinions that you have. Just leave them down in the comment section. We would love to hear what you guys have to say as always. Thanks so much for being here. As always, make sure you hit the like button before you leave. Consider becoming a subscriber to help support the content in the channel. I would really appreciate that. Most importantly, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on any content coming to the channel in the very near future. And with all that down, as always, I will see you in the very next video.